started with our first T-Rex. This is the classic Camp Cretaceous T-Rex, and is one of my favorites because of how realistic it looks when you move it. Next, let's grab our first raptor. Let's go with this huge Dino Trackers Indoraptor. This is actually one of the newest and most recent Indoraptor figures that Mattel has released. And there are the first two facing off. Let's get some more. Next up, let's go with the classic Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex figure. This figure is a whole lot darker than the Camp Cretaceous version, and it might actually be a little bit bigger. For our next raptor, why don't we go with this big one right here? I believe that this is Velociraptor Blue, and it actually has some pretty cool action features. You can press down on its body for a chomping action, and you can swivel it side to side as if it's walking. All right, let's set that up right in front of the huge Indoraptor. For our next T-Rex, let's go with the huge Stomp and Escape T-Rex. I think this might actually be from Camp Cretaceous as well. And it's got some pretty cool attack buttons. There's a button on its back for the roaring action. Plus, you can twist the tail for stomp sound effects. Let's see, we've got another big raptor in here. Let's go with this next Indoraptor. This is actually a pretty old figure. This is the Grab and Growl Indoraptor. And it's called that because it has a few features. First, you can use this button to move its arms. There's also a button on the bottom of its tail to chomp the jaw. And you can even use the tail to move the head around too. All right, let's put this one pretty close to the other Indoraptor figure. There, he'll be holding on to this little guy. Back to the T-Rexes. Let's grab this guy and see it is a battle damage T-Rex. Check that out right there on the side with a click of a button. You can reveal the battle damage. Plus, the rest of the body is posable as well. Now let's set this one down right next to the Camp Cretaceous T-Rex. There they are facing off with the raptors. For our next raptor, we're gonna grab this one at the bottom. This is a Utah raptor from Jurassic Park. So this figure is pretty old and actually has a rubber skin texture as opposed to the hard plastic of all the rest of these. And you can even move the claws on its feet up and down. Let's set this one up right next to the Grab and Growl Indoraptor. On to our next T-Rex, we've got a few more huge ones in here. This one, I believe, is from Fallen Kingdom. And this one features a pretty cool chomping action when you move its tail. Check that out just by moving its tail down. And when you move its tail the other way, it actually has a roaring action. Let's see now, let's put this T-Rex right next to the Stomp and Escape. Back to the raptors, let's grab this little one. This is our first Atrociraptor of this collection. And this is actually a Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor. It is actually battery operated and you can get it to walk around. Plus it has some chomping and roaring sound effects. We're gonna set this one up towards the front because it is a bit shorter than the rest of them. Our next T-Rex is a battle damage T-Rex. You can see that it has some battle damage slashes on its chin and on its neck and on other parts of its body too. So it is a battle damage T-Rex like this one, but this one you can turn on and off, and this one is just painted on its body. And so we're gonna put it right next to the other battle damage T-Rex. Looks like we've got a few more Indoraptor figures in this collection. This one is from Fallen Kingdom, so it's pretty old, and it doesn't have any action buttons, but its whole body is very posable. So let's get them posed, and let's set them right next to the Utah Raptor. For our next T-Rex, we've got a pretty wildly colored one. This one was actually custom colored. Plus, I believe this T-Rex is from the first Jurassic World movie, so you might have some trouble finding it now. Next, let's grab this Atrociraptor figure in the classic white with brown striping, just like in the movie. And this is a basic figure, so sadly there's no action buttons, but it still looks really cool. Let's set it down right next to the other Atrociraptor. Looks like we got one more big T-Rex here. This T-Rex is also from the first Jurassic World movie, so it is pretty old and probably pretty hard to find. And this version has the tan coloring. It's got some gray detailing along its face and the action button on its back for the jaws. All right, here is our final Indoraptor of the collection, I think. This is the basic version of the Indoraptor, so it's a whole lot less posable than many of these other figures right here. And it might actually be a little bit smaller. All right, it looks like it is in the sneaking pose. Check out that gold stripe that switches to a darker brown gold right along its tail. And let's set this up right beside these Velociraptor figures. Now let's grab this T-Rex figure. This is actually a model T-Rex figure, not made by Mattel, but it still looks really ferocious, has some really cool texturing and color detailing too. And since it's a little bit smaller, let's set it up on the front lines right in front of the Raptors. Over here, we've got a huge Velociraptor blue figure. And just like this Indoraptor figure that we see right here, this is the basic version of Velociraptor blue. So it's not super posable, but it still looks great. Let's set this up right behind the basic Indoraptor. We've got some crazy looking T-Rexes in here. This figure's a bit smaller than all the rest of the T-Rexes, but it still has some amazing coloring. Check out that texturing and the fading from the yellow to the green. Let's set this one down right behind the first model T-Rex figure. Back to our Raptors, we've got another Velociraptor blue figure, but this one is from the Amber collection, so this one is super posable, and it's even got some glowing gold eyes. That's a really cool feature. So why don't we set this one up right next to the basic Velociraptor blue figure. Look at the differences in the coloring and the texturing compared to the basic version right here. On to our next T-Rex figure. We've got a blue and gold T-Rex figure right here, and it's even got some bright teal coloring right around its eyes too. I think this figure might be the smallest T-Rex yet, so let's set this one up right in front. Let's go ahead and grab these other two Amber collection Velociraptors. There's first Velociraptor Charlie in the bright green coloring with the striping along the top and a headpiece right behind its face. Let's set this raptor down right in front of the Amber collection Velociraptor blue. And then there's Velociraptor Echo in the brown and black coloring with the lighter underbelly. And so let's set this Velociraptor up right in front of the others. Looks like we've got a few small T-Rexes in here. This is an older figure from the first Jurassic World movie. It's got a little battle damage on the side and a tail that controls the mouth. Now this is a little itty bitty T-Rex, so we're gonna put it right up front. And here is our last raptor of this collection. It looks like it's an Velociraptor in the white with brown striping, just like this basic version right here. And so we're gonna set it up right in front, really close to the other T-Rex. And here is our final dinosaur. This is a green T-Rex from the first Jurassic World movie. Just like the other miniature T-Rex that we see right here, it's got the battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to open and close the mouth, as well as move the neck. So let's set this down right in front, next to the other T-Rex. But wait, I've actually got a surprise for you. I've actually bought some new stuff to show in this collection. This first one is a custom colored T-Rex that I just ordered off of eBay. This is my first time seeing it, and I love the attention to detail with the coloring. It really looks lifelike. Plus, it looks like there's a whole lot more battle damage than there normally was on this figure. That is really cool. And look at that, there's even some more battle damage on the other side. All right, that is super cool. I definitely want to be getting more custom painted T-Rexes. And let's not forget, for the Raptor side, I just bought an uncaged Rowdy Roars Velociraptor beta figure. Now let's power it up and check it out. Just like the Rowdy Roar figure back there, there's a button at the top of the head. You get some chomping and sound effects. And you can also touch it underneath its chin to make it walk. Set up the first I-Rex in this collection. This is the Super Colossal I-Rex. It is by far the largest I-Rex figure that I have, and my favorite part are the teeth on this figure. They are so cool looking. Let's put this figure on the left side, ready to face off with whatever's next. The next Indominus Rex figure to reveal is this custom colored Indominus Rex figure. It's quite a large figure, although not quite as large as the Super Colossal figure, and the best part about this figure is the custom coloring. Let's set this I-Rex on the right side to face off. The next figure that I'm gonna grab is this one right here. Let's see what it is. All right, so this figure is actually the same figure as the custom colored one right there, but this is the original coloring. It's got the mostly gray body and the orange eyes instead. Plus it's got a claw slashing action and a jaw chomping action. Why don't we set this one down on the right side next to the custom colored one. All right, let's keep digging. Let's grab this one right here. This is the Battle Damage Edition Indominus Rex. It's pretty similar to these two figures back here, around the same size and has similar coloring, but the special feature is that it has battle damage right on the side that you can turn on and off. And of course, it has a jaw chomping action too. All right, now let's put this on the left side next to the super colossal Indominus Rex. Let's go for this crazy colored one next. This I-Rex, I believe, is actually a Hasbro I-Rex, so it's pretty old. And not only that, but it is a hybrid Indominus Rex. It's got the spikes on the top of its back that you can turn on and off. It's got some crazy horns on the top of its head, that classic super long teeth for the Indominus Rex, and it also has a motorized jaw-chomping action. So let's set this Hasbro Indominus Rex on the right side. This next I-Rex is another weird looking one. This is the Indominus Rex figure by Imaginext. It's got a bunch of blue spikes all over its back running down almost to the end of its tail. It of course has the huge teeth in its mouth. And the best part about this figure is the attack button. When you press down on its tail, look at that, it swings its head around in all sorts of circles. It's pretty cool. It's a bit smaller than all these other figures, but it's still a pretty awesome dinosaur figure. So let's set this one right next to the super colossal I-Rex. Moving right along, we've got another old I-Rex figure from Hasbro. This figure looks pretty normal at first glance. It's got the gray body with the spikes on its back, but what's special about this figure is that it actually has a rubberized head and neck, which you can chomp open and close by pressing down on its arms. And it's a little hard to see, but its back actually lights up as well. You can see that glow right along its spikes. Now, which side should we put this Indominus Rex on? I think we should put it on the right side. Let's keep going. I've got another huge Indominus Rex figure. This one I think is actually the same as this one back here. So it has the claw slashing action and the jaw chomping action. And look at that, this figure also has a glowing neck. You can see that glowing red right there. How cool is that? Let's set this figure down on the left side, ready to face off. Now let's grab this one right here. This one is a crazy looking one. This one is actually a motorized Indominus Rex. You can see the wheels underneath its feet. Unfortunately, the battery doesn't work anymore, but it's still pretty cool to have in my collection. I think those are like little sensors for driving on the front of its nose. But normally it would be a self-balancing, so it would stand up on its legs and be able to move around. And I'm gonna put this one also on the left side right here. Next, I'm gonna go with this I-Rex figure right here. This is the Sound Surge Indominus Rex figure. It has the classic gray coloring and a little bit of dark brown right on the top. Of course, it's got the orange eyes, very similar to all the rest of these. And of course, it's got one button on its back for some sound effects. Now let's put this Indominus Rex right here on the right side. I'm gonna go with this one next. This, I believe, is the Rowdy Roars Indominus Rex figure. This figure is shaped quite a bit differently than all the other figures. It's got a huge head and a small body, but it still has some pretty cool features. There is a button on the top of its nose for sound effects. And when you press on its tongue, it actually snaps its jaw shut. So I'm gonna put this I-Rex figure here on the left side. Up next, I've got a model Indominus Rex figure right here. Now this figure wasn't made by Hasbro or Mattel. In fact, I don't think it was actually officially licensed, but it has some pretty cool details. And I think it looks pretty similar to the ones made by Mattel and Hasbro too. And since this figure is a model, you can't move the legs or the arms. The only part that you can move is the jaw. Now let's put this I-Rex figure right here on the right side. And now finally, it's time for the new one that I just bought. Let's open it up and see what it is. I am super excited for this one. This is so cool. This is a custom colored Indominus Rex figure. This figure is actually the same figure as this one back here, but it has way more epic coloring. It is in the camo green color. Look at all those different shades of green in there. And the best part is that it's got a bloody mouth. Look how scary that looks. That's so cool. It looks like they also painted the spikes black as well as the dinosaur claws. That is so cool. I'm so excited to have this in my collection. Let's go ahead and put this one on the right side. I've also got a few Lego Indominus Rex figures. This is the largest one that I have. And of course, it's got the classic white with the gray detailing. And this one actually has some red eyes. That is pretty cool. Let's set this one down on the right side right here. And next up, I've got some more smaller dinosaurs in here. This is a battle damage I-Rex. You can see the battle damage right there on the side that you can open and close. And not only that, but its legs and arms are posable, and you can use the tail for a chomping action. Let's set this one down here on the left side. This next small I-Rex figure, I believe, is called the Bite and Thrash I-Rex. It also has a little bit of battle damage on the side, and the arms and legs are posable, and it also has the tail that controls the mouth. Let's sit down this I-Rex on the right side. All right, now we're getting into the real small figures here. Let's go ahead and put them all on the table. First, I've got another Lego I-Rex figure. This one has the white and gray body, but it also has some green eyes. And we're gonna put this one right next to the big Lego I-Rex. The next Lego I-Rex figure also has the gray and white body, but this one has the red eyes. I think this big Lego I-Rex came as a set with this smaller one, so we're gonna have to put them side by side too. Next up, I've got the Snap Squad Indominus Rex figure right here. Its mouth is spring-loaded, so it can actually latch onto stuff. So let's put this little I-Rex figure on the left side. Only 2 more left. This super small Indominus Rex has some silver reflective painting all over the top of its body. Plus, you can even open and close its mouth too. Now we're gonna set this one on the left side here. And finally, I think this I-Rex figure is pretty special. This is a completely clear I-Rex figure. It's really cool, but it still has some pretty awesome detailing and texturing all over its body. Look at that, you can even see its eyes and its teeth. And let's set this on the right side. All right, there is my entire I-Rex collection set up for a versus battle. Why don't you comment down below your favorite and let me know. Let's get started with these super colossal figures. This is the Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex with the dark brown coloring and the black detailing along its body. The other super colossal T-Rex I have selected for this collection is a custom colored one. Check out this light blue coloring and the dark red eyes. And this T-Rex figure is definitely a lot older than the Dominion T-Rex figure. And we're gonna stand them together on the T-Rex side. And now for the I-Rex side. This is the super colossal I-Rex figure. I believe was released as part of Camp Cretaceous. It's got a whole lot more bumps and texturing compared to the T-Rex figures, and I love its teeth. And that figure is gonna go over here on the I-Rex side. And next up, why don't we open up the brand new Dino Trackers Indominus Rex. Now this new I-Rex figure is very interesting. It's actually quite a bit smaller than many of my other I-Rex figures. You can see the barcode scanner right there for the app, so you can check that out on your phone. Of course, it's still got the same coloring and detailing as many of the other I-Rex figures, but this one has a feature that I don't know I've ever seen before. It has the button on its tail to activate the chomping. But check that out, there's some glowing green lights inside. That's pretty cool. So now let's set this on the I-Rex side, right in front of the Super Colossal. Now let's go over here to our bin and grab another T-Rex. We're first gonna go with this one. I believe this is a Camp Cretaceous Battle Damage T-Rex. They actually released another one for Jurassic World Dominion that's pretty similar, other than it has different coloring. But these figures are pretty cool because they've got the huge battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off with the click of a button. That's pretty cool. And we're gonna place this right underneath the Dominion T-Rex. Now back to the I-Rexes, we're gonna grab this camouflage I-Rex one. This one looks pretty wild. Now this one is actually a custom colored I-Rex. So all this coloring you can see here was done in detail by someone that I bought from on eBay. Even the blood on its mouth too. That's pretty awesome. Now let's find a place for it on the I-Rex side. How about way there in the back? There we go. Now back to the T-Rexes, we're gonna go with this big figure. This is the Terran T-Rex. This Jurassic World T-Rex has the classic brown coloring over most of its body and a slightly lighter underbelly. You can see it's got some hidden battle damage along its face. It looks like those are kind of scars. That's pretty cool. But the special feature of this figure is the button on its back, which causes a huge tearing action. And not only that, but there's another button on its back to swing the tail back and forth too. So now let's set this on the T-Rex side, and we're gonna have it go way in the back over here. And this T-Rex is really face to face with that I-Rex figure. Next, let's grab this huge I-Rex figure right here. This is the Battle Damage Edition I-Rex. Check out the size difference between this one and the Dino Tracker I-Rex that I just bought. This one might be twice the size of that one. And it's still got all the cool texturing and spikes and detailing. Plus it has the battle damage on its side that you can turn on and off. Now let's set this one in the back here, right next to the Super Colossal I-Rex. For the T-Rexes, we're gonna go with the Jurassic World Dominion version. Now this T-Rex figure looks very similar to the Dominion Super Colossal figure right here. You can tell that this was the color theme that they were going for that film. And like many other T-Rex figures, it has the tail that can move the torso around, as well as open and close the jaw. We're gonna put this one right next to the older Super Colossal T-Rex. Let's dive back in here. This other giant T-Rex figure is one of the classic I-Rexes. This Jurassic World figure is pretty similar to the battle damage one way back here, except that it doesn't have the battle damage on the side. Instead, it has a button right on its back used for slashing its claws. Plus, of course, you can use the button on the tail to activate the jaw. And we're gonna set this one right next to the Battle Damage I-Rex. This is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex from Jurassic World. And this figure is built a little bit differently than a lot of the other T-Rex figures. You can see that its legs actually have different joints, as well as this big joint right in its torso. And I'll show you what that does. So it has this really cool action where it lifts up its head to roar. And the other cool part is that you can actually twist the tail to get stomping actions with sound effects. So that's why those weird looking joints are right there. And of course, this T-Rex figure is gonna go on the T-Rex side. This next one is a pretty special I-Rex figure. This is a hybrid edition I-Rex. Now this Jurassic World figure actually came out for the first Jurassic World movie and was made by Hasbro instead of Mattel, who makes many of the newer figures now. It's got some crazy coloring on its arms and its underbelly and feet, and that bright red along its back and its head too. Plus there's a hidden action button on its side that you can press to activate more spikes on its back. So now let's set this on the I-Rex side, right on the front lines. Now right here is that Jurassic World Dominion Battle Damage T-Rex that I was telling you about earlier. Now let's compare it to the earlier version that they released, and they're pretty similar in shape and size. I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually the exact same figure, but with different coloring. And this Dominion version is a much more like orange-brown coloring over all of its body, but it's still got the battle damage on its side. Now let's set up this T-Rex right next to the others. This next I-Rex figure is pretty unusual actually. It looks totally different than many of the other figures. This figure is still made by Mattel, but I believe it's from the Imaginext line. So it looks to be like a figure for a slightly younger audience. But it has one of the most unique attack actions that I've ever seen. When you move its tail up and down, it actually swings its torso in all sorts of directions. That's pretty cool. That is very unique too. So let's go ahead and set it down on the I-Rex side. This T-Rex figure is another extreme damage T-Rex, but it is not like the others. And that's because it does not have the battle damage opening on the side that you can press a button, but rather it has this painting all over its body for the battle damage. And other than that, it has a very orange coloring with the darker brown on top. And let's set it in the back here next to the Dominion T-Rex. This I-Rex figure is another one made by Hasbro for the first Jurassic World movie. And it sure is quite a bit different. First off, it's got this real feel skin along its neck and on the top of its head. And instead of having a chomping button on its tail, you can actually move its arm to open and close its mouth. And you can kind of tell on its back that it has lights underneath whenever you move its arm, but it's pretty faint, so you can't really tell when it's light out. But nonetheless, let's set it down on the I-Rex side here. For the T-Rex side, we're gonna go with another figure that was released for the first Jurassic World movie, made by Hasbro. This smaller T-Rex figure is a light tan color, much lighter than the Dominion damaged T-Rex back there. And it looks pretty different in design too. It has a much longer head, a smaller body, and it has a single action button on its back for the chomping action. Now this figure is pretty old, so it doesn't work as well, but we're gonna put it right next to the extreme battle damage T-Rex on this side. Up next, we've got the Feeding Frenzy Indominus Rex figure. This figure is a whole lot smaller than a lot of the Indominus Rex figures we've seen so far, but it still has a pretty large face for how small its body is. And it's got some unique special features. First, there's this button on its nose that you can get some sound effects from. Then you can move its tail to open up its mouth. Then you can feed this Indominus Rex by pressing down on its mouth, and it'll chomp its mouth closed. Now let's set this I-Rex right on the front lines against the T-Rexes. This next figure is a classic T-Rex, I think was released for the second Jurassic World movie, which is Fallen Kingdom. It's got the classic brown body with a darker top and a button at the top of its head for the chomping and roaring action. And we're gonna put this guy right on the edge because we're running out of space for all these T-Rexes. This is the Sound Surge Indominus Rex figure released for Jurassic World Dominion. It's pretty basic in design. It has the same coloring as all the rest, but its one big feature is that it has this speaker on its side and this button on the top for the sound effects. Let's place this dino right behind the Feeding Frenzy I-Rex. And I've actually got the Sound Surge edition for the T-Rex as well. It's actually a little bit smaller than the I-Rex figure, but it still has the button on its top for the sound effects. And we're gonna place this one on the front lines of the T-Rex side. This next figure is an even smaller I-Rex figure. This is from the first Jurassic World movie as well. It has some battle damage on its side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail on this figure to move the head and chomp its mouth. Now let's place this kind of in the back for the I-Rex side. We're getting down to just a few T-Rexes left. This is a Lego T-Rex figure for Jurassic World. It has kind of similar coloring compared to the Jurassic World regular figures with the brown, and it's got some darker brown detailing along its body. So why don't we place this right up front here next to the Sound Surge T-Rex. I've also got the Lego I-Rex figure. This one, interestingly, is actually a similar color to the Lego T-Rex over here instead of the classic gray coloring for the I-Rex. I think that makes it pretty cool. Plus, it has some really cool teeth. They're pretty unique, I think. Check that out compared to the T-Rex over here. And here's the I-Rex's teeth. And our next T-Rex figure is a super small green T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie. It's got a pretty large face for its size. It has some battle damage right on the side of its body, and you can use the tail to chomp the head and move the head back and forth too. Let's set this up right next to the Lego T-Rex. And here is our final I-Rex. This, I believe, is the Bite and Thrash Indominus Rex. Now, similar to this T-Rex that we just saw a moment ago, this one has the battle damage right on the side, and you can use the tail to move the head up and down and chomp the jaw. And And we're actually gonna leave this figure right here, right in front of the Lego I-Rex. And here is our final figure of this collection. It is a juvenile T-Rex figure. It has a light green body with a darker brown accenting on its back, and you can use the tail to chomp the mouth open and closed, which is pretty cool considering how small this figure is. Now the full collection is set up. Who do you think would win in this battle? The T-Rexes or the I-Rexes?
Let's get started with the biggest ones from Camp Cretaceous. This first one is the super colossal Indominus Rex figure. This figure features some really cool looking teeth. It's got huge claws on its hands. It's got some cool detailing along its whole body, a ton of spikes along its back as well. This one is definitely the biggest, and we're gonna put this right here in the Camp Cretaceous line. The next largest is also from Camp Cretaceous, actually. This is Carnotaurus Toro. This is the super colossal figure. And this figure features the classic clay and brown coloring along the body, along with the battle damage right along its nose, and the two massive horns as well. Let's put this right next to the Indominus Rex on the Camp Cretaceous line. Unfortunately, Fallen Kingdom does not have any super colossal figures, but we'll get started with the biggest figures that I do have from Fallen Kingdom. This first one is a giant T-Rex, and this one features some pretty cool attack moves. If you move its tail, it lifts its head up for a roar, and if you move the tail downwards, it actually chomps it towards the ground. Plus, you can move it side to side to swivel the head too. So we're gonna put this first Fallen Kingdom dinosaur right here. All of our Fallen Kingdom dinosaurs will go along the front right here, and Camp Cretaceous will go along the back. Let's go ahead and grab another Fallen Kingdom dinosaur. This is another T-Rex, but this is the Battle Damage edition. You can see it has a lot of the same coloring along most of its body as the first T-Rex, but it's got some really cool battle damage coloring. You can see some slashes on its neck, on its chin, and all over its body. And it is a little bit smaller than the first T-Rex, so let's set him down right next to it. Moving on to the next largest Camp Cretaceous, we've got the Spinosaurus figure from Camp Cretaceous with the tan coloring. It's got the super long snout and some really big front arms. You'll notice that the arms on a Spinosaurus are a lot larger than on a T-Rex figure. Look how much bigger it is on a Spinosaurus. Now let's go ahead and set this Spinosaurus next in line on the Camp Cretaceous line. Look at that size difference between the super colossal figure and this Spinosaurus. That is a huge difference. Next from Fallen Kingdom, I think the next biggest figure is the Grab and Growl Indoraptor figure. This figure features super long front arms. It's also got a long tail and two attack buttons on its tail. The first activates its claws for slashing back and forth, and the second button activates the jaw, and you can see that its eyes light up as well. That is really cool. Let's set this down next to the Battle Damage T-Rex. Going back to Camp Cretaceous, our next biggest dinosaur figure is this Carnotaurus figure. And let's check it out compared to the super colossal version way up there. Check out the color difference. This one's a lot darker brown. They both have the damage on their nose though, which is pretty cool. And this Carnotaurus has a button on its tail to activate its jaw too. From Fallen Kingdom, we actually have a Carnotaurus figure as well. This one is a little bit smaller compared to the Camp Cretaceous Carnotaurus. You can see the size difference right there, and the color difference as well. And this figure has a button on its back to activate its jaw and its neck as well. Next from Camp Cretaceous, we've got the Scorpius Rex figure. I think this is the largest Scorpius Rex figure that I have. It's got the yellow underbelly and the black sides and the darker black top. And this figure features some pretty cool attack buttons as well. One for the jaw and then one for slashing the arms too. Let's set this down next to the Carnotaurus. From the Fallen Kingdom toy line, we've got another Indoraptor figure that is slightly smaller than the Grab and Growl Indoraptor. It still has the same coloring and many of the same features, but this one doesn't have any attack buttons or anything like that, but it is super poseable. From Camp Cretaceous, we've got an Albertosaurus figure with the green and orange coloring. This figure reminds me a lot of a T-Rex, but it's got some differences in some spikes on the top of its head, and I think the shape of this dinosaur's head is a little bit different than a T-Rex as well. So let's go ahead and put this on the Camp Cretaceous line right here, next in size. Next in size from Fallen Kingdom is the Suchomimus figure in the blue and yellow coloring. And it's got an action button on its back for the chomping or roaring action. This is a really colorful dinosaur. Let's put this right next to the Indoraptor figure. Next is the Camp Cretaceous Cryolophosaurus figure. This figure is also in a dark blue color, just like the Suchomimus, but it also has some orange along its back and its head as well. Next up is the Fallen Kingdom Allosaurus figure in the gray and yellow coloring. This figure features some cool detailing along the top of its head. It's got those really tall crown eyebrow-like things, and it's got an action button on its back for chomping its jaw open and shut. Let's set this down next to the Suchomimus. From Camp Cretaceous, we've got a Baryonyx figure in the two-toned green and the brown coloring along the top. This figure features a slide lever action to open and shut the jaw, along with a ton of different sound effects. Now let's put this on the Camp Cretaceous line. Here is the Fallen Kingdom Ceratosaurus figure. This figure has some red, yellow, and black on its body, and it features movable arms, legs, and a tail, and the button on its back to operate the jaw. For Camp Cretaceous, we've got another Baryonyx figure, also with the green and brown, but slightly different coloring. And this figure just has a button on its back to activate the jaw and the sound effects too. On the Fallen Kingdom side, we've got a Metriacanthosaurus figure with this dark yellow and green coloring. This figure features movable arms and legs, and it has a button on the top of its back to activate the jaw. All right, that's looking good so far. Next, for Camp Cretaceous, we've got the reflective Parasaurolophus figure. This figure features some really cool coloring. Look how shiny and reflective that is. It also has a tail that moves the head around, and there are adjustable legs on both the back and the front as well. This is the Fallen Kingdom Stegosaurus figure. It's in a teal bluish color. It's also got the lighter underbelly. And this figure features a slashing attack with its tail when you press down on its spine right there. Let's set this down next in the Fallen Kingdom line. For Camp Cretaceous, we've got a Sinoceratops figure in the green, tan, and kind of a darkish orange color. It's also got some yellow eyes, and this figure features a tail that activates the neck so you can move it around, and the sound effects as well. For Fallen Kingdom, I believe that this is a Sinoceratops as well. It looks quite a bit different, it has some different coloring and some different horns on the front as well. And this figure features a button on its back that moves its head up and down. Here's another Sinoceratops figure, but this one is from Camp Cretaceous, and it's got some interesting coloring. The all black eyes, its body is mostly this light gray blue coloring with some tan detailing all over as well. And this figure features the tail that you can use to move its neck around as well. On the Fallen Kingdom side, I've got another Triceratops figure in the clay orange coloring, and it's got brown detailing along the top. This figure features some huge horns on its face and an action button on its back for a slashing or a roaring action. And here is the last Triceratops of this video. This one is from Camp Cretaceous. It's got the brown and blue coloring, the huge horns in the front, and the tail that controls the head. Next in size for Fallen Kingdom is this Ankylosaurus figure. It's got the huge spikes coming out of its side, as well as the hard shell on top, and an action button along its back for swinging its tail back and forth. From Camp Cretaceous, we've got a Sarcosuchus figure with the purple, orange, red, and gray-blue coloring. This figure features a really long torso, a super long mouth, and some short stubby legs, as well as an action button on its tail to open and close the jaw, and to move its head around too. Now we're getting down to the real small figures. This is the Velociraptor blue figure from Fallen Kingdom. And this features movable legs, arms, and you can open and close its mouth as well. I've also got a Velociraptor from Camp Cretaceous here. This one is a green with darker green striping. And this figure actually features an attack button on its back that moves its claws back and forth. Let's put it right there on the Camp Cretaceous line. For Fallen Kingdom, we've got a Stygimoloch figure with the orange and purple detailing. And this figure has an action with its tail used for headbutting. And let's put this right at the end of the Fallen Kingdom line. I've also got a Stygimoloch figure for Camp Cretaceous as well. This one also has the clay coloring with the purple detailing, but this one does not feature an attack button with its tail to move its head back and forth for headbutting. And the last Fallen Kingdom figure in this collection is this extreme battle damage Herrerasaurus. You can see that you can open and close it right there on the side. And for our final dinosaur is the Monolophosaurus from Camp Cretaceous. This figure features an action where you can move its tail to open and close its jaw. All right, there is our entire Camp Cretaceous versus Fallen Kingdom, biggest to smallest. Let's check out all these Camp Cretaceous figures from big to small. And our Fallen Kingdom from biggest to smallest. Our first giant figure from right in the center of the bin is the Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus. This is a pretty large figure. It's got the soft green body with the black detailing all over the top. It's got that huge spine on its back as well. And this figure has some features as well. It has a chopping action, and it has a torso spinning action. This big figure is the Camp Cretaceous Extreme Damage T-Rex. This figure has posable arms, legs, tail, and a neck that you can move in all directions, and you can open its mouth for posing. And most importantly, it's got the extreme battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. This next figure is the Jurassic World Dominion Therizinosaurus. This is a pretty big figure as well. It's got a dark body with the red stripe all the way to the top of its head, and it's got a few action buttons. You can use the tail to control the neck, and there's a button for chomping as well. I've also got some brand new figures from both Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World Dominion. So let's open these up next. This is the Camp Cretaceous Soundstrike Sinoceratops. It's got the all gray body. So let's open it up and check it out. You can see it's got bumps and texturing all over its body, and it's not all the same everywhere. You can even see a little bit of its ribs right there too. Interestingly, it's got all black eyes, and it's got some yellow and orange detailing on the top of its head right there. And you can use the tail to control the head. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Massive Action Siamosaurus, or at least I think that's how you say it. Let's open it up. This is a pretty unique looking dinosaur. It looks like it walks on all fours. It has a huge red spine on its back. It's got some interesting coloring along its body. It's mostly black, but then it has these white splotches all over. And this figure has a couple actions too. First, you can use the tail to swing the head up and down and all around. And there's a button on its tail as well to control the chomping. Next up is the Jurassic World Dominion Roar Strikers Rajasaurus. This is pretty cool. I actually have one Rajasaurus that we'll see later on in this bin, but this one has entirely different coloring. It is a dark blue color. It's got some lighter coloring along the bottom of its neck and its chin. It's got the iconic spines along the top of its neck. And of course, it has the action for when you press down on its body. It's got some chomping action. This is the Camp Cretaceous Dino Escape 3-pack. It comes with a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Darius, and Velociraptor Blue. So let's open it up and check it out.
First up, we've got the giant T-Rex figure. This is the light gray brown T-Rex. It's got the darker brown along the top, and it's got the button on the top of its head for the chomping and roaring. Here we've got the Darius figure with the yellow jacket and blue pants, and it doesn't come with any accessories for him, but he does have a necklace. And finally, in the 3-pack is the iconic Velociraptor blue figure. This is pretty similar to some other figures that I already have. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Ankylosaurus. It's got this super long neck with the clay red coloring and the brown top with tons of spikes all over its body. It's also got a few action buttons as well. Here is the Camp Cretaceous Carnotaurus figure. This figure is almost as big as many of the T-Rex figures that you'll see. It's got the dark brown red coloring all over its body and some darker detailing along the top. It's got the iconic battle damage right on its nose. It's got the horns on its head as well, and it has some action features as well. Over here is another Spinosaurus figure from Camp Cretaceous. But as you can see, this one has totally different coloring. It is a soft green color over most of its body, and it's got some tan detailing along the top of its back and some unique coloring right on the top as well. And this figure has yellow eyes instead of those black eyes. And with this figure as well, you can use the tail to control the head. This is one of my favorite Camp Cretaceous figures. This is the T-Rex from Camp Cretaceous. And it's my favorite because it's one of the largest T-Rexes that I have. It has some awesome coloring, and it has the tail and button on the tail that you can use to control the neck and the jaw. And I just love how realistic you can make this figure look just by moving the tail around. We've got another Camp Cretaceous figure here. This is the Spinosaurus. It's got the light tan coloring along most of its body. It's got some brighter coloring along the bottom of its neck, but most importantly, it's got the red along the spine and at the top of its head too. Plus, it's got those dark orange eyes, which is a pretty cool feature. And this figure is pretty adjustable as well. You can move the arms, the legs, the tail, you can move the neck around, and of course, there's a button at the top of its head for chomping. And check out all those teeth too. I really like how narrow the Spinosaurus's mouth is. We've got another super large T-Rex figure in here. This is from Jurassic World Dominion. It has much darker coloring with the black on top and the dark brown on bottom with a lighter underbelly. This T-Rex has a much bigger jaw and neck than what you'll see in many of the other Camp Cretaceous T-Rexes, and it comes with some actions as well. You can use the tail to swing the torso back and forth, and it has a button to activate the jaw. Look at that, it's even got some room in its mouth that you could probably fit a few miniature dinosaurs in there. Here we've got a few Baryonyx figures from Camp Cretaceous. They're both green and brown in color, but they're not quite the same. This one is a darker green, has 2 tones of brown along the top. It's got the action button on its back to activate the jaw. This one is a much lighter green. It's almost like a mustard yellow and green color, and it has brown on the top and a darker green along the back. And this figure has a slide lever action to activate the jaw and sound effects. This figure is the Yangchuanosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a soft green body with the yellow underbelly and the brown detailing along the top, and it's got the orange crown on the top of its head. This figure is pretty adjustable. You can move the arms and the legs. You can use the legs to actually position the neck up and down. And you can use the tail to swing the torso back and forth, and a button on its tail to use the jaw. This is a Camp Cretaceous Triceratops. It's got the brown coloring along most of its body, 2 tones of blue along the top and along the front as well. It's got some sound effects, and just like the Spinosaurus, when you move the tail, you can control the head. Next up, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Parasaurolophus figure with yellow coloring along most of its body. It's got some dark purple and then some bright reflective like purple pink coloring along its leg and its back. And it's got the iconic horn at the top of its head too. And with this figure, you can use the tail to control the head just like many of the other Camp Cretaceous figures. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Sound Surge T-Rex. This T-Rex is a lot smaller compared to many of the other T-Rex figures that I have. It's got the same type of coloring, brown along most of its body, with gray detailing along its neck. But the most important part about this figure is the sound effects it comes with. And as the final feature, you can open and close the mouth manually. You'll see that the teeth or the tongue is not painted though. This Camp Cretaceous figure, I believe, is the Extreme Chompin' Indominus Rex. It's a smaller looking figure with a huge head and huge eyes, and it comes with a few features. There's a button at the top of its head to activate some sound effects, and when it's dark you can see its eyes glow. And you can use the tail to open the jaw, and when you press on the tongue, it'll close it. Over here, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Cryolophosaurus. This Cryolophosaurus has the dark blue coloring with the white and red detailing along its body. I do have a yellow Cryolophosaurus as well, but I think this was the only one from the Camp Cretaceous toy line. And as you can hear, it's got some sound effects, and you can use the tail to control the head. Next up is the Jurassic World Dominion Rajasaurus. This figure has brown coloring. We saw the one earlier that had the dark blue coloring. It's got the same spine and the horn, but yeah, this one is a light brown color with some dark blue detailing along the top of its back and its neck. And of course, it still has the same action for when you press down on its body, it chomps. Next up, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. This is a smaller Giganotosaurus figure, but it still has the iconic spine and the same coloring as many of the other figures. You can open and close the mouth manually, and the most important part is that it's got some sound effects built in. Next, we've got the Camp Cretaceous Ceratosaurus. This dinosaur figure has the iconic white horn at the top of its nose. It's got the red detailing and the brown detailing along its back and neck, and the rest of its body is a light gray color. And it's got one action button on its back to activate the jaw. This Jurassic World Dominion figure is the Ankylosaurus. It's got the clay red body with the brown top and lighter spikes, and it's got an action that when you press down on its body, it swings the tail back and forth with sound effects. Next up, we've got a figure that I bought pretty recently. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Megaraptor. It's got some pretty cool coloring. The entire back of its body is a bright red color, and the front is this darker gray-blue color. It's got some white detailing along its nose. And just like the Rajasaurus figures, this has an action that when you press down on its body, it chomps. I believe this one is the Jurassic World Dominion Iguanodon. It's got a light tan body with some detailing along the top, and when you press down on this body, it moves its head up and down. Right over here, we've got some smaller Camp Cretaceous figures. First, we've got this bright red and green Velociraptor with spring-loaded legs, so you can actually launch them into the air. We've also got two different colored Stygimolochs. This first one is dark brown with some purple detailing along the top. This one is a lighter blue color, and it's got some purple detailing around its face and its neck. And of course, both of them have the head ramming action when you press down on their tail. And of course, we've got another Camp Cretaceous Velociraptor blue figure. I've got a couple Jurassic World Dominion figures with extreme battle damage. This first one is the Dimetrodon with the battle damage on its side that you can turn on and off by pressing this button. And there's also this yellow and dark blue Velociraptor with the battle damage that you can turn on and off with this button up top. We've got some more smaller figures in here. This first one is the Camp Cretaceous Monolophosaurus. It has a dark green body. It's got some yellow detailing along the top and some red right at the top of its head. This next Camp Cretaceous figure is the Proceratosaurus figure. It has a dark blue body with some orange and brown detailing along the top of its head. And this figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. This is the Moros Intrepidus. It has a soft green body and orange from the tail down this line on its side, as well as around its eyes too. And here are our final three figures in this bin, all from Jurassic World Dominion. First, we've got a tan Atrociraptor in the crawling pose. This is the Maragaya figure with the huge spikes on its shoulders. And inside this container, what could it be? All right, it is another Atrociraptor figure. This is the white and brown Atrociraptor. And despite how small this figure is, it is pretty adjustable. And you can even twist the neck around too. First, let's check out the T-Rexes that are already set up. This first one is my oldest super colossal T-Rex figure. It is a custom colored green camo T-Rex. And best of all, it's even got some battle damage painted all over its body. On the right side is another super colossal T-Rex. This one is custom colored a gray-blue color. You can see that it has the battle damage on its body, but it is not painted. And the coolest part of this figure is its bright red eyes and its dark gray teeth. The next T-Rex figure on this face-off is the new Dino Trackers T-Rex. This T-Rex comes in the brand new tan coloring with the yellow and gray detailing on the top. It's got the headpiece and an attack feature. Now let's set this one up on the left side right here, right under the super colossal T-Rex. The next T-Rex is the new Legacy Collection T-Rex in the dark green coloring. It's got some gray and yellow too, and it has the button at the top of its head for the chomping action. And we're gonna put this figure on the right side underneath this super colossal figure. This next figure is the Hammond Collection T-Rex. This is one of my most detailed and posable T-Rex figures. It's got an amazingly detailed face. It even has some rubber on the inside of its mouth for added realism. And the dark speckled paint job over its whole body is a really nice feature. So let's add this to the left side. Next up is the brand new 93 Jurassic Park edition red T-Rex. Aside from its really cool coloring and its soft skin, this T-Rex actually has a pretty unique feature for these smaller dinosaurs. It actually has a stomach compartment so that you can feed it smaller dinosaurs. And for the most part, all these other smaller dinosaurs don't have that feature. That's pretty cool. And we're gonna put this one on the right side. The next awesome T-Rex figure from Jurassic World is this battle damage T-Rex. This one comes in the orange and brown coloring. As you can see, it has battle damage painted on its tail, its leg, its body, and a little bit on its face. And of course, it has the button at the top of its head for the chomping action too. All right, let's go ahead and put this on the left side over here. Now here's a bigger T-Rex figure. This one is the Jurassic World Dominion figure. And as you can tell, compared to the Legacy Collection, at least right here, this Dominion T-Rex is quite a bit larger. It comes in the dark brown coloring with the black detailing on top, and you can use the tail to wiggle the torso back and forth and open and close the mouth. All right, let's put this one on the right side. All right, next up is another Legacy Collection T-Rex. Although this one is a little bit older than this one. I bought this one very recently, and this one was released quite a long time ago. But it also comes in a dark green coloring with some black detailing on the top. I'd say it's around the same size as the new Legacy Collection figure. And of course, it has the chomping button at the top of its head. Now let's put this figure right here on the front of the left side. Here we've got a very classic looking T-Rex. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but either way it's from one of the Jurassic World series. This dinosaur is in the soft brown coloring with a little bit of darker coloring along the top and the button on the head for chomping. Now let's put this T-Rex on the right side. Let's see if we can sneak it right next to the Legacy Collection right there. This huge orange T-Rex, I believe, is from the Fallen Kingdom era, and I think is a little bit larger than many of the other figures. At least its torso is bigger. And this T-Rex actually has some pretty unique features. You can use the tail when you press it upwards, it has a chomping action. And when you press the tail downward, it has a roaring pose. That's pretty awesome and pretty unique, and we're gonna put this one on the left side over here. For the right side, we've got another of that same T-Rex over here, but this one is actually a custom colored version of it. So it has the same chomping action and roaring action, but as you can see, it has this really awesome custom camo painting over its whole body. This figure is definitely one of my favorites, and we're gonna place it on the right side right here. This next Jurassic World T-Rex is an Extreme Battle Damage Edition T-Rex. It has some pretty normal coloring with the brown and a little bit of gray detailing on top, but of course the battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. so it blends right in, and then you can show the battle damage when you want to. Now let's go ahead and put this T-Rex on the left side. For the next T-Rex, I've got this super old Jurassic Park T-Rex. This is the JP29 T-Rex. It also has the real feel skin, and a feature that when you move its tail back and forth, it actually moves its torso too, although it's a little bit old, so it doesn't work quite as well. And we're gonna set this super vintage T-Rex right in the front here, because sadly this is the only way it can sit up now. Here's another pretty rare and vintage T-Rex, although not quite as old as that T-Rex right there. I believe this T-Rex is from the first Jurassic World movie. This Jurassic World T-Rex is actually a hybrid T-Rex. So it looks mostly like a T-Rex, but when you press this button on its back, some spikes pop out of its back and the top of its head. And that is definitely not normal for a T-Rex. Now let's go ahead and put this on the left side right here. For the right side, I've got another bright orange T-Rex with the darker coloring along the top. It features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. And we're gonna put this one on the right side, way in the back over here. Next up from the Camp Cretaceous toy line is the epic Roarin' T-Rex, one of my favorite T-Rex figures. It has the brown body and a tail that controls the neck and head, and the jaw chomping too. Now let's put this over on the left side, right behind this super old T-Rex right here. Next for the right side is this Stomp and Escape T-Rex. It has some pretty normal coloring with the brown and some gray detailing, and it has this huge action button on its back for a massive roaring action. All right, now let's put this over on the right side. This is another custom colored camouflage T-Rex figure, but this one is a bit cooler because it is actually also a battle damage T-Rex. So it features a fully posable body, you can move the head around, you can pose the mouth however you want, and it has the battle damage that you can turn on and off as you choose. Now let's put this on the left side over here, way in the back. Here is another bright orange T-Rex. I think we actually have another one of these already. So it has all the same features and the jaw chomping action. So I'm gonna put this one on the right side, right next to the other orange one. This Jurassic World T-Rex is the Terran T-Rex. And it's called that because it has two buttons on its back for the special feature. The first is a massive tearing action where it swings its whole neck around and closes its mouth. And the second button on its back activates a huge tail swinging action. All right, now let's put this one on the left side next to the Camo T-Rex. Here's another pretty old figure from the first Jurassic World movie. This is a custom colored T-Rex that actually used to be pretty similar to this one, but it was tan in color. But you can tell that they're kind of the same body size and shape. And this T-Rex, since it's not a hybrid, does not have spikes coming out of its back, but there is an action button for some jaw chopping action. Let's go ahead and settle this T-Rex down right on the right side here. And you know what? Here is that T-Rex that I was just talking about. This T-Rex used to be this one in coloring. You can see that they're the same size, but I got it custom colored, so it's bright red, and here's the original version in tan coloring. And now we're gonna put this one on the left side next to the hybrid T-Rex right here. Up next is another vintage Jurassic Park T-Rex. This is a juvenile T-Rex, and it has some massive battle damage right on its side. Let's go ahead and set this one down on the right side here. This next T-Rex is the Sound Surge T-Rex. This came out for Jurassic World Dominion, so it's pretty small. You can still open and close its mouth, and it has one button for the sound effects. And we're gonna place this T-Rex on the left side, right over here. Next up, I've got a pretty special one. It comes in an egg and is from Jurassic Park. This is a baby T-Rex figure right here. This one's pretty cool because it's got the marbled eyes, and you can tell it actually has a bandage on its leg too. All right, now we're gonna put this one on the right side. We're just gonna nestle it back way in there. This next Jurassic World figure is a pretty funky one. This is a Gujitsu Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. So it is made of a really gooey substance. Most of its body is like rubber almost. And on the inside of its body, if I can squeeze it hard enough, you can actually see that there are some bones. It must be digesting something inside of its stomach. So let's put this one on the left side right here. This next figure is the Funko Pop Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. You can see it comes on a stand. It has the huge classic head and the black eyes, and we're gonna put this one on the right side here. Next up is a small, kind of cute looking T-Rex. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous. It has the bright orange body and actually a little spinning dial on its back here for the chomping action. All right, let's put this one on the left side here. I've got a smaller T-Rex here. This one is another vintage Jurassic Park T-Rex. It is a juvenile T-Rex with a broken bone feature right there. You can see that you can kind of bend its leg off. Plus, it's pretty unique in coloring. It's almost like a purple color with the brown on the sides. So now let's put this on the right side here. And finally, and even smaller, is this juvenile T-Rex in the bright green coloring with some dark green on the top and on the leg. And it has an action that when you press down on its tail, it chomps its jaw shut. And I believe that this baby T-Rex actually came as a set with this Legacy Collection T-Rex. So we're gonna put them side by side. Now, which team of T-Rexes do you think would win in a battle? The left side or the right side? Let me know in the comments below. The first theropod. This is the 93 real feel T-Rex figure that came out really recently. It's got the rubbery skin and the stomach compartment so you can actually feed this T-Rex smaller dinosaurs. Our first sauropod, I believe, is a Brachiosaurus figure. This figure comes in the dark green. It has some red detailing along the top and the lighter underbelly, and of course the super long neck with the smaller head in the front. Our next theropod is the Camp Cretaceous Epic Roarin' T-Rex. It comes in the light brown coloring with the darker brown along the top and the tail that controls the head and the chomping. Our next sauropod, I believe, is another Brachiosaurus. This one has much more interesting detailing along its body. You can see all the different muscles and the bones as well. And it comes in this darker green coloring. There's also some darker detailing throughout. And at the top of its head, it's got some dark orange eyes. Our next theropod is this special Spinosaurus figure. This figure is from Jurassic World, but it actually has custom coloring over its entire body, so you won't see this coloring anywhere else. Plus, it's got the button on its head for the chomping action too. For the next sauropod is the Nigersaurus figure from Jurassic World. This one is part of the new Dino Tracker series. It has two tones of green, the bright green in the front and the darker green in the back, and a slide lever action on its back for the sound effects and movement. This next theropod is another T-Rex. This one's pretty special because it comes in a dark green coloring with the black accenting on top, which is pretty unusual for the Jurassic World figures. And its entire body is posable, and of course you can chomp the jaw with the button at the top of its head. Next up is a strange looking sauropod. I'm actually not sure what type of sauropod this is, so let me know in the comments if you recognize the species. But it has some amazing coloring with the green, purple, blue, red, and these interesting spikes along its neck. Now let's check out this one that I just bought, and let's see what it is. All right, this is a theropod, and it is the battle damage Spinosaurus. This one was actually really hard to find, so let's open it up and check it out. I am super excited to finally have this to add to my collection. This is the first blue and yellow Spinosaurus figure that I have. In terms of its shape and its size, it's pretty similar to the Legacy Collection and the Camp Cretaceous version. But for the best part, let's check out the battle damage right here on the side. That is so cool. That is ginormous. And then you can also even open up its ribs to reveal what's underneath right here. And there's a hidden button right here on its spine that make its insides spin. Now that is pretty awesome. Let's do another theropod. This is a custom colored T-Rex figure. This one's pretty special because it looks like a fire T-Rex. And I think it definitely looks scarier than most of the other T-Rex figures. This next sauropod figure is an Ankylosaurus, and this one was for Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a bunch of interesting little spikes all over its body, and you can use the tail to move the head around and open and close its mouth. This theropod is called the Suchomimus figure. This version is in the dark blue with the yellow accenting and one action button on its back to chomp the jaw. This other theropod figure is the Therizinosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's a pretty big figure, and it has feathered texturing all over its body, and the best part are these huge claws on its hands. This next figure here might be a Diplodocus figure, I'm actually not sure, but it has some cool coloring, the brown stripes on the back, the gray on the sides, tan underbelly, and it has some pretty decent detailing too. They even colored in the eyes. This theropod figure is the Jurassic World Carcharodontosaurus. This version of this dinosaur has the tan body with the brown and orange accenting along the top, and all these little spikes running along its back, and a single action button for chomping. Now here's a pretty special one. This is the Lego edition Brachiosaurus figure. I think these figures are pretty rare and hard to find nowadays, so I'm pretty happy to have one in my collection. This theropod is the Seats Microrarum figure from Jurassic World. It's colored in the orange, the tan, and the dark blue. It's got a ton of rows of spikes running along its head and its back. And it has the action that when you move its tail, it also moves its head and controls its jaw. This sauropod is called the Amargosaurus. It has the dark brown coloring with the darker accenting and a little bit of red along its spines. And check out, there's actually 2 rows of spines along its neck that form into one spine running down its body. And this figure has 2 action buttons. The first button moves its head up and down, and the second action swings its tail back and forth. This theropod is the Allosaurus figure. This version is in the dark green, and it has the white and red accenting. It's got a short row of spines right on the top of its neck, and this figure has the slide lever action for a bunch of sound effects and roar poses. This next sauropod kind of looks like a Brachiosaurus figure to me, and I think this is the only one that I have that is red colored. And sadly, you can't move any of its limbs or its tail or anything like that, but I do appreciate the detail and texturing along its body. This sauropod is another Allosaurus figure, but this one is in the gray with the yellow accenting. It also has posable arms and legs and a single action button on its back for chomping. Here's the second Suchomimus figure of this sauropod versus theropod collection. This second version has the bright yellow body with the brown accenting along the top, and this Suchomimus features 2 action buttons, one for chomping and the other for swinging its tail. Man, do I have a lot of Brachiosaurus figures. This one is also a Brachiosaurus. It's got some interesting orange spotting all over its body, and it's quite a bit smaller than many of the other figures so far. This next theropod is another T-Rex figure. This one is from the first Jurassic World movie, and it's actually a pretty special one. It's got some interesting coloring, patterning along its side, and it actually has hidden spikes that pop out when you press a button. Over here, I've got an Irritator figure from Jurassic World. This is an older version that features the brown sides with the 2 tones of blue along its spine. And this feature comes with sound effects and a tail that controls the head. I've also got some Baryonyx figures in here, like this dark green one with the brown coloring along the top, and the single action button on its back for chomping. This next figure is a basic Velociraptor figure from Jurassic World, and this one is actually Velociraptor Blue. And since it's a basic figure, you can only move the arms and the legs and the tail, but there's no action button. Up next is my first baby Brachiosaurus figure. This one is in the gray with purple coloring along the top, and even though it's so small, you can still open and close the mouth. This giant figure in here is my Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus figure. Compared to the battle damage version that we saw earlier, this one has the tan body with the brown along the top, and then the red spine and the red face. This next theropod is a Monolophosaurus figure, and is a pretty small figure, but it has the dark blue coloring with the I think that's kind of a brown accenting along the top of its body. And with this figure too, you can open and close its mouth as well as move its arms and its legs and twist the tail too. Here's my next baby Brachiosaurus figure. This one is a bit more recent and it comes in the brown coloring with a little bit of tan accenting along the side. The next theropod is actually a Pyroraptor, which is very similar to a raptor, but you can see that it has feather texturing all over its body here, and it has these really cool accent feathers right behind its head too. And here is my third juvenile Brachiosaurus figure. This one is the light green version with the dark green along the top, and of course the fully posable arms, tail, neck, and mouth. And here's the final theropod. This is an Atrociraptor figure. This version is the bright orange with the tan accenting along its body. Finally, we have these two huge sauropod figures. This first one on the right is a giant Brachiosaurus figure. It's much larger than this one over here. And this Brachiosaurus is actually an older version. There is a Jurassic World Dominion figure that's come out more recently. And this figure here is the Apatosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's smaller compared to the Brachiosaurus, but still a giant compared to many of the other figures. T-Rex to check out is this new 93 collection Real Feel T-Rex. Check that out. It has a rubbery skin and it has a stomach compartment so you can actually feed it smaller dinosaurs. And the prey that it's up against is this brown and blue Triceratops. This figure also comes with sound effects and a head movement action. Now let's move these figures to face off against each other. The Predator and the Prey. The next T-Rex that we're checking out is the new Dino Trackers Tyrannosaurus Rex in this awesome tan coloring with the yellow coloring on the top and the brown striping. Plus it's got this really cool headpiece and it has a chomping action button. And the prey that it's up against is this massive Stegosaurus figure. This one is in the brown, tan, and green coloring, and it has two action buttons. This first button here moves its head up and down, and this second button swings its tail back and forth. So now let's place the T-Rex on the T-Rex side here, and the prey Stegosaurus on the prey side. Next up is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. This T-Rex has a massive roaring action versus its prey, the Ankylosaurus. This figure's from Jurassic World Dominion. It features the dark orange body with the brown on top and tons of spikes and a tail that controls the head. So now let's get the T-Rex in place and also its prey in place back here. Up next, we've got the new Legacy Collection dark green Tyrannosaurus Rex figure with the gray and yellow striping. It features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head to chomp. And its prey that it's up against is the Kentrosaurus. This figure looks quite a bit like a Stegosaurus, but it has some massive spikes on its back and its tail and coming out of its sides as well. And it also has this torso swinging action that you can activate right on its back. So now let's get the T-Rex in place over here and its prey on this side over here. This next T-Rex is a pretty incredible one. This is a custom colored Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. Now in this beautiful camouflage color over its whole body, and it still has the battle damage on the side. And its prey that it's up against is this massive Pentaceratops figure. It has a huge frill on its head and it comes with two action buttons. The first moves its head up and down, and the second swings its torso side to side. So let's place the T-Rex over here as the predator and the Pentaceratops over here as the prey. Our next predator T-Rex is this smaller T-Rex made by Hasbro instead of Mattel. And not only that, but it is a custom colored one. So it is now a bright red T-Rex with some black spots all over its body. And the prey that it is up against is actually another carnivore. This is an Allosaurus figure, and this one comes in the gray and yellow coloring all over its body. So now let's place the T-Rex right over here and the Allosaurus right over here. This next T-Rex is also red, but an even brighter red than the last one that we saw. Plus it has some fiery orange and yellow coming on its sides too. And it has an attack button on its head for chomping and roaring. And here is the prey that it is up against. This is a Spinosaurus in the green coloring on the top and sides. There's some tan, there's some dark orange, and it has some bright yellow eyes. Plus, on this figure, you can move the tail around to control the head and the horns. Now let's place the T-Rex over here on the T-Rex side, and the Spinosaurus over here on the prey side. Now it's time to open up this new figure that I'm sure you saw at the beginning. This is the Chase and Roar Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it transforms too. Let's open it up. And here it is in its T-Rex form. It's got the classic orange coloring, and you can see some of the parts are gonna turn into the car parts. So now let's see it in the transformed version. And here it is in the car version. Looks pretty cool. It's got the classic coloring for the Jurassic Park Jeeps. It's pretty amazing how small it is compared to how big the T-Rex was too. And the prey that the Transformer T-Rex is up against is this Ankylosaurus figure in the green, gray, and lighter gray coloring. And it has an action button on its back to swing the tail back and forth. So now we're gonna place the Transformer T-Rex / Jeep right here on the T-Rex side and the Ankylosaurus over here on the prey side. This next T-Rex is the Camp Cretaceous Epic Roarin' T-Rex, one of my favorite. It has the light tan coloring on the sides, a little bit darker on the top, but the best part is this tail and button on the tail that you can move around to control the head in a really lifelike way. And that T-Rex is going up against this Iguanodon figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It has the light yellow tan coloring with the brown detailing on its body and an attack action when you press down on its body. So now let's place the T-Rex way back here on the T-Rex side and the Iguanodon right back here next to the Pentaceratops. This figure is also from Jurassic World Dominion, and it is the classic T-Rex figure with the new dark brown coloring and the black on top. And it has an action button and a swivel action on its tail, so you can control this figure's torso and its jaw. And up against that T-Rex is this Rajasaurus figure, also a carnivore, but a whole lot smaller. It comes in the dark blue coloring with the gray detailing and the purple spikes on top, and an attack action when you press down on its body. So let's put the T-Rex way back here on the T-Rex side and the Rajasaurus over here on the prey side. The next T-Rex is another massive one. This is the Hammond Collection T-Rex. It has some of the best painting and detailing on its body, and it has some really cool yellow marbled eyes too. And up against that T-Rex is the Ouranosaurus figure. I think this is from Camp Cretaceous. It has a dark green body with some yellow detailing and some orange underneath its chin and a little bit of blue on its mouth too. Plus it has an action button on its side that you can move for sound effects and head movement. Now let's put the Hammond T-Rex over here on the second row and the Ouranosaurus right next to the Rajasaurus. This next T-Rex is another Legacy Collection T-Rex in the dark green coloring, but it's a bit different from the one that I showed you earlier because it only has the black spots on the top, but it still has the really cool button on the top of its head for the chomping and roaring. And the prey that it's up against is this Scorpionator figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a brown coloring over its whole body. It looks like it almost has scales on its skin and some orange detailing along the top and some bright orange eyes. Plus it has an attack action when you press down on its body. So we're gonna place this T-Rex right here next to the Hammond Collection T-Rex and the Scorpionator over here on the other side, right next to the Ankylosaurus. Next up is another brand new figure to my collection. This is the T-Rex collectible from the Noble Collection. So this is a multi-piece collector's edition. You can actually place the T-Rex in the display right here. Got the awesome banner right on the side, just like in the first movie. And then it also comes with this nice little protective case that you can put right over the T-Rex, and it has a little background as well. And the prey that collector's T-Rex is up against is this Parasaurolophus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got some really cool blue and orange detailing, and the blue right along the top of its head too. So now let's place this collector's T-Rex right here in the back, right next to the Transformers T-Rex Jeep, and the Parasaurolophus right in front here next to the Scorpiovinator. And last of all, we've got the massive Terran T-Rex figure. This T-Rex has the gray-brown coloring on the sides, a darker brown along the top, and a lighter underbelly. But best of all, it has these two massive action buttons on its back. One activates the tearing action, and the other button activates a huge tail swinging action. And the final prey for this Versus collection is this Pachycephalosaurus. It has a pale purple coloring and some darker purple detailing along its back and along the side of its face too. Plus, there's an attack action that when you press down on the tail, it activates its headbutting action. Now let's go ahead and place this Terran T-Rex way in the back over here, and this Pachycephalosaurus right in front of the Tyrannosaurus. Figure is ginormous. I think it might be one of the largest Predator figures that I have in my Jurassic World collection, aside from these super colossal figures. And it's also got these action buttons on its back. One for slashing the claws, and one to activate the jaws. How cool is that? Plus, there's even lights down its throat that you can kind of see on the outside too. Next up, we've got a massive Spinosaurus figure. This figure is the light tan with the dark brown and red along the spine. It is very posable, and its neck is very movable, which is really cool. Plus, there's a button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. And check out all those teeth, too. Right over here is our first prey of the bin. This is a Triceratops figure with the dark green coloring. It's got some brown detailing along the top and on the front as well. And this figure actually has two action buttons on its back. One is to lift the head up and down for striking with those awesome horns, and the second button swings the tail back and forth. I bet that would hurt if you got hit by this in real life too. Next up, another Predator, the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex with the gray-brown coloring and the dark brown on top. This figure is very posable as well. It's got a decent amount of detailing in the coloring. I like how they fade from the dark brown to the gray-brown coloring. And of course, it's got the button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. Here is another T-Rex Predator. This figure is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. This one has some very different detailing than the T-Rex that we just saw. It's got these splotches all over its back with the lighter underbelly and the darker coloring right around its eyes too. And this figure has two action buttons. The first one is for the roaring. That's really cool how it lifts its whole neck up. And the second action is actually when you twist the tails, it stomps its feet up and down with sound effects. Here's a small prey from Camp Cretaceous. This is the gray and dark purple Brachiosaurus. It's actually a baby Brachiosaurus, but it's still quite movable and posable. You can move the neck, the legs, and you can even open and close the jaw too. So even though it's pretty small, it's still a pretty cool figure. On to another Predator figure. This figure was made famous by the first Jurassic World movie. This is a Mosasaurus, and this figure is huge. And it's even larger in real life as well compared to the other dinosaurs. It's got this dark blue body with white splotches all over. You can open and close the jaw, you can move all the fins, and you can even swing the tail back and forth too. Right here, we've got, I believe this is the Rowdy Roars Carnotaurus figure. So it's kind of funny because it looks almost like a baby Carnotaurus. It's got these huge feet and a huge head and then this small body. Plus, it actually comes with a few actions as well. There's a button at the bottom of its tail for the chomping. It's pretty cool. You can see it swings its neck forward. And there's also a button on the top of its head for blinking and more sound effects. Right over here is another Carnotaurus Predator figure. This one has the light gray coloring on the underbelly and that same orange-red coloring on its side and the brown on top. Of course, it's got those iconic horns at the top of its head, those yellow eyes, and it has a few action features as well. You can open and close the mouth using a button on its tail, and you can twist its head in all directions to look really lifelike. Next up, I've actually got some brand new Camp Cretaceous sets that we're gonna open up right now. Let's check out this first one. This is the Ben and Ankylosaurus Bumpy set from the Dino Escape. It looks a little opened up already, but I think it still has most of the pieces. Let's check it out. See the spear over here? And let's go ahead and get Ben out of here and check him out. All right, so the Ben figure actually comes with this awesome little shield and this spear that he can hold. Plus, the figure itself has some pretty cool detailing. The figure looks dirty as if it's been in the jungle and in the wild, so pretty lifelike. And of course, we've got the cute little Ankylosaurus Bumpy with the iconic blue coloring on the top and the yellow underbelly. And even though this figure is pretty small, you can even twist the tail around and adjust that, and move the legs and twist the neck around too. So there's a lot that you can move around on this figure. I've got one more brand new Camp Cretaceous set to open up. This is the Camp Adventure set. All right, this set comes with 4 figurines. The first is this giant Stegosaurus figure, which is a prey dinosaur, and it's got the gray-blue body with the darker coloring right along the top. You can move the neck around a little bit, you can adjust all the legs, and it has an action button that swings its tail back and forth. Next in the set, we've got a Baryonyx figure. That's really cool. I have a few other Baryonyx figures like this. This one has the light green coloring along most of its body, and then it has the dark brown detailing along some of its leg and along the top as well, while its head is a lighter brown color. Plus, there is an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Next in the set, we've got Darius with the iconic yellow sweater and the blue pants. This figure even has the dinosaur tooth necklace around their neck. How cool is that? And last of all, and smallest of all, is another Ankylosaurus Bumpy figure. This figure is super small though, and actually none of the parts move. Oh, you know what? The tail moves back and forth. How cool is that? But that's the only part that moves on this teeny tiny figure. All right, back to the bin. Let's see what other predators and preys we have. We've got another giant T-Rex figure with the light brown coloring on the side and darker brown on the top. You can wiggle the tail around, you can adjust the ankles and move the legs, and of course it's got the button on the top of its head to activate the jaws. I really like with these figures how you can pose their neck in all directions and it actually stays looking in that direction. Right over here, we've got 2 prey figures of the same species. These are both Triceratops. You can tell because they have the 3 horns on the front of their face. This first one is a lot larger and has the clay red coloring and 1 action button on its back to move its head up and down. And the smaller Triceratops figure is a light green in color, and this figure has a really cool feature on the side of its body, which is the battle damage that you can open and close. I really like these because you can choose to hide the battle damage or open it up and show it. We've got more awesome predator figures in here. This is the Albertosaurus with the green body and the orange detailing on the side. And this figure, you can use the tail to twist the head back and forth, as well as open and close the jaw. Here is an Allosaurus figure, and I've actually got a few more Allosaurus figures in here, so let's check these out one at a time. This first one is a dark green color. It's got some red and white detailing right along its neck and its head. It's got those dark red eyes, which I think is really cool. And this figure has the slide lever action to open the jaw and get a bunch of sound effects too. This next Allosaurus figure is gray and light yellow. You can move all the limbs on this one. This one has some yellow eyes, and it has 1 action button on its back to activate the jaws. And here is the final Allosaurus of the bin. This is a brown and dark blue Allosaurus. It looks very much the same as the other figures. It's got the yellow eyes on this figure, as well as the spikes going down its neck, and the slide lever action for different roar sound effects, and a bunch of different poses too. Here's another prey figure. This is a Sauropelta. It has the bright red top and the brown underbelly, and those super huge spikes coming out of its shoulders. It's got a whole row. It's actually got 2 rows on each side. And this figure is actually spring-loaded, so you can swing it back and forth to attack with those spikes. Next up, we've got another Rowdy Roars figure. This is an Indominus Rex. It looks very much the same as the Rowdy Roars Carnotaurus. It's got the big feet, the giant head, and the small body, and it actually has some actions as well. You can use the tail to open the jaw, and then you can press on the tongue to snap it shut. And there is a button on its nose as well to activate more sound effects. I've got some smaller prey in here as well. Check out these Gallimimus figures. They look pretty identical, but this one is a darker orange coloring with brown stripes, and this one is much lighter. And they both have the same movements. You can move all the limbs, you can twist the tail, and you can move the necks up and down as well. Next up, I believe, is the Ceratosaurus figure. This figure is gray, it's got some dark brown, and then the bright red along its back, which is a really cool color scheme, I think. It's got the action button on its back to activate the jaw as well. Here is our first winged predator of the bin. This is a Pteranodon, and this one actually has some battle damage on its wings. You can see that there's a hole in its wing right there. Plus, you can actually open up more battle damage right on its back. Looks like I've got a few more Baryonyx figures in here as well. This first one is another light green with the brown detailing along the top. It's got the action button on its back for chomping. And I've also got this battle damage Baryonyx as well. This one is a darker red color with some blue detailing on the top. It's got a lighter color along the top of its head, and you can see the battle damage on its neck, on its leg, and it looks like that's about it. But it also has an action button to activate the jaw as well. Next up is another prey from Camp Cretaceous. This is the Stegosaurus with the brown, light tan, and green coloring. It's very much similar to the Stegosaurus that we saw earlier, including an action button to swing its tail back and forth, but this one actually has another feature that when you press down here, it moves its neck up and down. The next predator is a Metriacanthosaurus in the bright red coloring with the brown detailing and the light orange along its head and its nose as well. This figure also has the action button on its back to activate the jaw. Right over here, we've got a Pachycephalosaurus figurine. This is light tan along the sides, it's a bit brighter along its belly, and it has the dark gray-blue detailing along its top and on its legs too. Plus, this figure has an action button that when you move the tail, it does the headbutting action. So this figure is actually spring-loaded. All right, check it out. We've got a few raptor figures in here. Velociraptors, to be exact. This first one is the green Velociraptor. It is in a sneaking pose. It's crawling along the ground, looking for some prey. And I've also got this blue Velociraptor with some awesome detailing and even the gold on the top of its head. That's a really cool feature. I think this is my only Velociraptor with reflective gold on its head. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures in here, all with different coloring. This first one is super bright green. It's got the darker green along the top and an action button. When you push down on the tail, it opens and closes its jaw. I've also got these other Monolophosaurus. This one is like a light red color with almost purple coloring along its back, and it also has the action button to open and close its jaw. And this Monolophosaurus is dark green with some bright yellow and red coloring along the top, and it also has the action button to open and close its jaw using the tail. Here we've got a few more prey figures from Camp Cretaceous. This first one is a Stygimoloch figure and is really small, but it's still quite poseable. You can move the head in all directions, you can twist the tail and move the limbs. And this figure, I believe, is the Protoceratops. It's got the light purple body with some brighter yellow coloring along the top and on the front as well. And it's got some bright yellow eyes too. Looks like we've got two more winged predators in here. These both, I believe, are Dimorphodons. This first one is a lot brighter. It's got like some fire detailing on the underside of its wings, and the rest of its body is a darker red. And this figure has some purplish coloring along the underside of its wings, while the rest of its body is a gray color. Just a few small figures left. We've got another Gallimimus figure, this one with different coloring. It actually has yellow and brown striping along its back, all the way up to its head. I've also got, I think this is a Troodon figure. It's kind of funny because it looks like it's got a mohawk, but those are actually just the spines going all the way down its back. It's got some cool coloring as well. And then, of course, I've got a Dilophosaurus figure with the light coloring along its body and the red along its frills. Plus, this figure has an action that when you move the tail, its frills activate. And last of all, I've got some of the Camp Cretaceous human character figurines. We've even got Darius again, we've got Brooklyn, and all these figures, each with their own unique looks.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.